クイックラジオ大阪いざ一新
Obie's Daily Radio Osaka!
Hi everyone! Welcome to Obie's Daily Radio Osaka. I'm Haru, and today we are taking you through the June 2nd Tuesday broadcast from Radio Osaka.
And I'm Obie. Today's source broadcast had that very Osaka radio flavor. Warm, quick, a little chaotic, and somehow full of food.
The day starts with a live show problem. One member of the regular comedy duo Timekeepers came to the studio but could not appear on air.
Which means the show had to improvise in real time. That is always where local radio gets interesting.
After that, we get a very Kansai-style perfect day. Golf, sauna, a hot spring facility in Habikino, and a passionate argument for Rairaitei ramen.
Golf, sauna, ramen. That is not a schedule. That is a lifestyle thesis.
We also have cassette tape nostalgia with Eriko Ogawa, a comedy duo with a neighborhood origin story, listener stories about fake crying, and a surprisingly practical conversation about AI.
Exactly. Not tourist Osaka, actual daily Osaka with all the small human details left in.
Let's start with the live broadcast that suddenly had one voice missing. Our first story comes from OBC Good Afternoon, Mamiko Wada's Mimi Yori Dango. The Tuesday show normally has Wada-san with the comedy duo Timekeepers. Timekeepers are Akira Matsui and Hideki, right? So the normal shape is Wada-san plus both of them in the room. Right, but on this day, Matsui came all the way to Radio Osaka, joined the pre-show meeting, and then had to sit out because he was not feeling well.
He made it to the building and still could not go on air? That is not a casual sick day. That is the body filing an official objection.
The important detail is that he tried resting in the station nap room, but even after sleeping there, his condition did not improve.
If the nap room cannot save you, the live microphone definitely should not be the next medical option.
Exactly. The host said Matsui kept insisting he could do it, but they decided it would be worse if he hit his limit during the live broadcast.
That is a very show business instinct, though. The person who should clearly go home is still saying, no, I can absolutely host 3 hours of radio.
One example was the movie talk corner. Without Matsui, they had to decide how to handle that corner. And Hideki joked that if he did it, the show would just become food talk.
Based on today's lineup, that was less a warning and more a prophecy.
Listeners also sent messages wishing Matsui well, which is one of those local radio details that may be easy to miss if you only think of radio as content.
It is a small community. People know the regular voices, they notice who is missing, and they check in.
And the show told listeners that the comedy duo Airinsae would join later from the 1 o'clock hour, so the day would not stay only as a two-person emergency setup.
I like that the emergency plan was basically protect Matsui, let Hideki talk more, and bring in reinforcements at 1.
That warmth carries us nicely into our next topic, where Hideki proves that if he is left near an open microphone, he can indeed turn the day toward food. Next is Hideki's ideal Kansai suburb day, and it starts with golf. After golfing with friends, the group headed to Nobeha no Yu main store, Habikino.
Nobeha no Yu is a hot spring and sauna facility, right? The kind of place where the day can quietly disappear.
Yes, it is the kind of bath facility many foreign residents discover after moving here. Bath, sauna, outdoor cooling, and that post-bath floating feeling.
The official Kansai sequence. Hit a ball, sit in heat, stand in cool air, then become spiritually ready for noodles.
After the bath, the group considered sushi. But the final decision was Rairaitei, the ramen chain Hideki called his origin and his peak.
Origin and peak. That is not a restaurant review, that is a life philosophy with a soup base.
He was explaining it especially for Wada-san, who had eaten Rairaitei ramen only after becoming an adult.
That is an important point. In Japan, chain restaurants can carry serious personal loyalty. It is not always just convenience.
Exactly. Hideki did not just say the ramen was good. He talked through the standard ramen, green onion ramen, the thin noodles, the pork slices, and the way the green onions fit.
I respect a person who can explain noodle architecture on live radio.
The strongest recommendation was the pork kimchi set. He said the thin sliced pork works with the kimchi and that it makes the rice move fast.
That phrase alone makes me understand the meal. Not fancy, not delicate, just hot bath, empty stomach, rice disappearing.
And the post-bath detail that really lands is the bottled cola. He talked about the cold glass bottle hitting the mouth after the bath.
That is the sentence where every vending machine in Kansai quietly stood taller.
It is enormous to some people. That level of detail is why this segment works.
And from a cultural angle, it is interesting that the whole thing is communal. Friends golf together, bathe together, eat together, and the story becomes a shared route.
That is a nice observation. The route matters because the friendship matters. And from here, we move from shared food memories to shared music memories. Our third topic is Eriko Ogawa and the cassette tape era. This came from a segment where Eriko looked back on her own music memories.
Cassette tapes are perfect radio material. You can hear the plastic case opening in your imagination.
Eriko said that when she was in 5th grade, she received a silver SANYO radio cassette player.
That is not just a device. For a kid then, that was personal media power.
She used it in the old school way. She put the recorder near the television speaker and recorded music programs from the TV.
Oh, that is such a specific pre-digital ritual. Silence in the room, nobody talk, the song is starting.
Exactly. And in junior high, friends would dub albums onto cassette for her because buying albums was expensive for students.
That is friendship as file sharing, but with more waiting and a pencil nearby.
Then, as a high school entrance gift, she received a bright red SANYO stereo with a record player and double cassette deck.
A red stereo with a double cassette deck. That is not furniture. That is a teenage command center.
The story then moves into university. During her first year summer break, Eriko and 6 friends took a ferry to Okinawa.
Ferry to Okinawa, friends, cassette tapes. That already sounds like a memory with sun glare on it.
On that ferry, the music someone played became her first encounter with Stardust Revue.
I love when a band enters your life through somebody else's tape. It makes the discovery social.
Then came the romantic memory. During a drive with her first university boyfriend, a custom tape of Toshinobu Kubota songs was in the car stereo.
The car stereo enters the scene. The tape is curated. The emotional stakes have increased.
And the song Missing became tied to a first kiss memory. The segment had that mix of embarrassment and nostalgia that radio is very good at drawing out.
A whole generation has one song that is legally impossible to hear casually.
Shofugute Shokyo added that he owns around 500 Rakugo cassettes. So the segment was not only Eriko's nostalgia, It became a whole room of tape memories.
500 Rakugo cassettes is not a collection. That is an archive with opinions.
For English listeners, the cultural contrast is clear. Today, music is searchable and portable. Back then, music arrived through objects, friends, rooms, cars, and timing.
Which is why the cassette is not just old tech here, it is a memory container.
And after memories stored on tape, we move to a comedy duo whose own name is stored in a very specific Osaka neighborhood. The fourth topic is the comedy duo Airinsae, who joined Mimi Yoridango as guests from the 1 o'clock hour and stayed through the end of the program.
Airinsae is Yokoyama and Reiji, a Yoshimoto Kogyo comedy pair, right?
Yes. They were introduced as a third-year duo, and the show talked about them entering Yoshimoto Manzai Theater.
For people outside Japan, it helps to know that Osaka comedy has a real theater ecosystem. Getting into the theater matters.
It does. The segment also mentioned their nomination for the Kamigata Manzai Grand Prix Newcomer Award, which is a major Kansai comedy milestone.
Third year as a duo and already in that conversation. That is a fast climb.
The most local part is the duo name. The conversation connected the name Airinsae with Bentencho, the area where Radio Osaka is located.
A comedy duo name with a Bentencho origin story? That is exactly the kind of detail I want from local radio.
The story involved places as ordinary as McDonald's and Komita Coffee in Bentencho. Not a glamorous origin point, but that is why it feels real.
Some groups are born under stage lights. Some are born near coffee, fries, and a conversation that accidentally becomes permanent.
Yes, and the conversation touched on M1 Grand Prix, theater entry, and the way a duo forms after earlier attempts, but it stayed friendly and personal.
Which is better radio than a resume reading. You hear the professional facts, but also the awkward human path underneath.
Near the end, Yokoyama praised Bentencho as a wonderful town, while Reiji said they wanted to come back when Matsui was there too.
That is a gracious exit. Compliment the neighborhood, honor the absent regular, and leave the door open for a return.
For English-speaking residents, this topic is a good peek into how Osaka comedy is both professional and neighborhood-based. Awards matter, but so do moving help and coffee shop conversations.
And now that we have covered real comedy, we move to another kind of performance: fake crying.
That is a dangerous transition, but yes, the next segment asks whether fake crying has ever actually worked. The fifth topic begins in a serious place, with an article about Yoshiharu Yamaguchi, the rugby coach known as the model behind the TV drama School Wars. School Wars is that famous Japanese high school rugby drama, right? Yes. The broadcast explained that it was based on the story of Fushimi Technical High School rugby, with Yamaguchi often remembered as the crybaby teacher. That nickname already tells you the emotional register. Rugby, teaching, tears, redemption. The segment mentioned the famous heavy loss to Hanazono High School, the later drama adaptation, and the phrase, "faith is strength." And from that earnest sports story, the program somehow arrived at the listener theme, have you ever fake cried successfully? Eriko shared her own story from her first year of high school. She lost a contact lens in town, and at the time, each lens cost 50,000 yen.
50,000 yen for one lens? I would not need to fake cry. I would naturally enter a new emotional climate.
She cried, and the shop made her a replacement for free, just that once. So in her case, the tears worked.
That is not fake crying. That is a customer service miracle with moisture.
Listener stories then came in from all directions. Some people talked about Christmas shopping, like getting a bag or coat after crying.
That one feels risky. Once tears become a shopping strategy, the household budget needs a referee.
Others were more everyday, crying while apologizing for a mistake at work, doing a half-crying strategy with a husband, or fake crying so a child would eat.
The parenting one is fascinating. The adult becomes the drama, and the child is the audience and the critic.
The show also shared a poll result. 18% said they had successfully fake cried before, and 82% said they had not.
18% is higher than I expected. That means in any group dinner, statistically, somebody has technique.
The ending joke was very radio. Eriko guessed she had fake cried about 63 times in her life, then tied the same number to first kisses.
That is such a clean comedy swing. Set a number, reuse the number, make everyone react.
Exactly. It is a communal confession booth, but with jokes, poll numbers, and a Rakugo performer in the room.
And from fake tears, we move to a different kind of advice giving. Humans asking AI what to do next.
Yes, and this one is very current. AI appeared not as a distant technology story, but as a tool people were casually using during ordinary radio conversation. Our final main topic is the day AI became a casual consultation partner on the broadcast. First, Mamiko Wada talked about using AI after a health check.
What kind of health check situation are we talking about?
She said she got results she had not seen before, something like a retest or caution flag, and she wanted advice on how to avoid storing internal fat.
That is a very modern sentence. The health check gives you anxiety, and then you take the anxiety to ChatGPT.
She entered her age, waist circumference, a photo of the health check results, blood test information, and meal details.
That is not asking a quick question. That is building a small case file.
The AI then returned suggestions about food and walking times. Hideki, though, was skeptical. He said he does not use AI much.
His concern was that it might be like fortune telling, right? Broad advice that somehow feels personal.
The conversation then became even more meta. Wada-san asked ChatGPT during the show what they should do when Matsui was absent because of illness.
Oh, that is live radio asking software how to survive live radio. I love the circularity.
ChatGPT suggested things like playing with Matsui's absence, doing a quiz about what Matsui would say, collecting listener messages, and making personal talk longer.
Honestly, that is not a terrible emergency meeting agenda.
Hideki pushed back on some of the humor, but he did accept that listener messages made sense. He also said writers and producers were still needed.
That is the healthy conclusion. Use the tool, but keep the people who know the room.
Later, in a consultation segment on Shofukute Shokyo's Waraeba Daikichi, a listener had asked Gemini about being called natural by others.
In Japanese conversation, being called natural can mean charmingly odd, a little spacey, or unexpectedly funny, depending on tone.
Exactly. The listener received a gentle answer from Gemini, and then wondered whether it was okay to trust that answer.
That is such a human question. Not just, is this accurate? More like, am I allowed to feel comforted by this?
Eriko's answer was warm. She said being called natural can be a compliment, even a kind of treasure or asset, and that it helps to appreciate people who tease or correct you kindly. That is the human follow-up the AI answer needed. Gemini gave comfort, and Eriko placed it back inside relationships. It also brings us back to the first topic. The show had a real human absence to manage, and AI could suggest formats, but the tone had to come from the people in the room. And that is today's big radio lesson. Tools can suggest segments, but they cannot replace knowing when to worry, when to joke, and when to send someone home. Nicely said. Let's wrap up today's Osaka Digest. Today we started with Mimiyori Dango suddenly becoming a two-person show, with Mamiko Wada and Hideki carrying the broadcast after Akira Matsui had to rest.
Then we traced Hideki's truly persuasive Kansai Day: golf, Nobeha no Yu, Rairaitei, pork kimchi, and that cold bottled cola.
We opened a box of cassette memories with Eriko Ogawa, from a silver SANYO radio cassette player to Stardust review on a ferry and Toshinobu Kubota in a car stereo.
We met Arisa, the comedy duo with a Bentencho thread in their origin story, and we learned that Osaka comedy history can include theater milestones and helping someone move.
We also heard a fake crying theme that began with rugby coach Yoshiharu Yamaguchi and somehow turned into contact lenses, family tactics, and listener confessions.
And we ended with AI in daily life: health advice, emergency show planning, and the very human question of whether a gentle chatbot answer can still help.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, take care.